What the hell is up, everybody? Louis back here again, looking to break down UFC Vegas 59. Back in the Apex, no fans, but you got some bangers. You got Thiago Marreta Santos taking on Jamal Street Dreams Hill. Huge fight at 205. And then you got it, Vicente Luque taking on Jeff Hands of Steel Neal at 170 pounds. Very pivotal matchup. And then you got the tough finales. And Terrence McKinney's on the card. So can't go wrong with this one. Quick recap of last weekend. I did horribly. I tried to pick a bunch of underdogs. Didn't go my way. Pena couldn't get it done. Amanda Nunes literally just didn't train for the last fight. And Anthony Smith's leg did not hold up, unfortunately. And Derek Lewis lost in a firefight. It is what it is. I don't care. I sucked, but it's time to get it back here. Did all my research. Let's get into it. Got a good card. First fight of the night, 135 pounds, women's bantamweight. You got Mayra Bueno Silva taking on Stephanie Egger. Silva took on William on her last fight. First round, she walks into some kicks and punches, but she's kind of staying there at range. But she's able to cut off the cage, and she throws some straights, and she drops her with the straight right. And then she presses, starts pumping some leg kicks, but then she gets a step and right hook, and then pulls the plump tie, lands some knees. Good first round for her. And then in the second round, she circles, lands a head kick whenever she gets pressed inside the pocket. She's able to pull the plump tie, but she gets taken down. She tries a triangle. Nothing comes of it. Kind of threatens a Kimura, but not really. And then she's able to get up, get the single leg, shoot it against the fence. Can't really finish it, but good try at the end of the round. Then in the third round, she starts pumping some circles, starts pumping some jabs. She eats some body kicks when she's coming in the pocket, and then she lands some jabs whenever she gets pressed in the firefight, but she kind of circles away, just doesn't want to get hit too much. And then Stephanie Egger took on Jessica Rose Clark her last fight. First round, she eats some overhand. She gets clinched on the back, but she's able to pummel. She's able to get the over-under position, and then she gets the overhook step through with the hip toss, but she's not able to hold her down. And then she gets tripped herself and gets clinched to the fence, but she's able to get the head. She's able to pull the head and arm throw, step over, beautiful. And then she tries the arm bar. And then she just goes to her back, but then she goes back to the arm, rolls through it, and she's able to pull, fully extend, and get the arm bar rolling through from the back. Beautiful submission from her, and she keeps mixing things up and kept Jessica Rose Clark guessing. And then before that, she took on Shannon Young. First round, she's in and out of range. She catches the kick, gets the clinch, but then she lands a step in 1-2, and then she'll back out. But she eats overhand and some body shots. But she gets clinched, but then she has the over-under again, and then she gets that head and arm throw again, and then she's able to fight off the leg lock. Shannon Young goes for it, but it's more so just a scramble position, no real threat there of any submissions. And then she just starts laying some ground and pound from there, does the simplest defense, the most effective defense, and then gets half guard, and then gets into that crucifix position toward the end of the round. And then the fight keeps going on, but it's more of the same. So Stephanie Egger minus 125, Mayra Bueno Silva plus 125. Sorry, plus 105, excuse me. Yeah, I'm going to go with Mayra Bueno Silva. Low-level women's fight, slight underdog. And I think Silva's going to be able to keep range, land some jabs, touch her up. Stephanie Egger is going to have to get real close to her to be able to get the head and arm throw. Stephanie Egger might get frustrated as the fight goes on. Silva might be able to land some clean shots. My pick here is Mayra Bueno Silva. Let's go. Second fight of the night at 125 pounds, women's flyweight. You got Corey McKenna taking on Miranda Granger. McKenna took on Elise Reed her last fight. In the first round, she bounces, but she walks into some hooks. But then she eats a jab, but then she lands a counter right hook. And then she eats a hook, but she's able to get the body lock against the fence. And then she gets able to get the single leg takedown off the fence. Really nice work there. And then back on the feet, she lands some elbows from there. And then in the second round, she bounces on the outside, but she eats some step-in rights from Reed. But then she lands some step-in jabs. Sorry, throws some step-in jabs, but then she kind of misses them, just a little too short. And then she lands a 1-2 whenever she gets pressed on the inside. Then she starts kind of getting walked down here, though. But she's able to get the blast double right at the end. About like 10 seconds left. Doesn't really do anything. Third round, she's able to get the double whenever she gets pressed. Get some full guard. Lands a nice ground and pound. But then back on the feet, she gets dropped with a short right hook whenever they're firefighting in the pocket. Relatively close fight, but she took most of the damage. So then Miranda Granger took on Ashley Yoder her last fight. This was last November. In the first round, she gets clinched to the fence, but she's able to reverse and she stops the trip attempt. She's able to get on top for a sec, I believe, and then she back on in space. She gets rushed with some straight shots and she gets headlocked, but she's able to roll through and she's able to get on top and land some ground and pound, but she gets put in a triangle / armbar. Doesn't really matter. She's able to stop the attack of Ashley Yoder. And then in the second round, she presses with some straights whenever they're in a clinch battle, but she's able to stuff the hip toss attempt from Yoder and get on top. But Yoder is able to sweep from half guard, and then she tries the Kimura, but Granger had some decent defense there, and Yoder is very tricky. So, you know. And then in the third round, she lands a leg kick and a jab, but then she gets taken down with a body lock, but she gets put in a full mount and eats some ground and pound, unfortunately, from... Actually, Yoder really turns it on at the end of this fight, and then she gives up her back toward the end. Rear naked choke attempt there. Miranda Granger plus 180, and Corey McKenna minus 210. Yeah, I don't like those odds at all. And, I don't know. It seems like Corey McKenna is just a little too short on her punches. I think Miranda Granger has decent grappling. I think she'll be able to stuff some of these takedowns if she has to. And I think she'll be able to keep her at range, pump those jabs, and Corey McKenna minus 200, he just cannot do it out of principle alone. My pick here is Miranda Granger. All right, third fight of the night at 170 pounds, men's welterweight. You got Jason Witt taking on UFC newcomer Josh Quinlan. Jason Witt took on Philip Bro his last fight. In the first round, he's at range, slips some jabs, presses with the overhand, gets the double leg off of the fence into half guard, but then back on the feet, he eats a straight and a left hook. Whenever he's rushing forward, gets a little too overzealous there. But then in the second round, he pressures towards the fence, and he shoots the double, and he's able to get around the back, drags him down, puts his back against the fence, but then he back on separation, he eats overhand right, and then a left hook, and then another overhand, and gets knocked out of nowhere. Kind of sucks. Well, good before that, and then Josh Quinlan, his last fight was in the Contender Series. He took on Logan Urban. First round, circles on the outside, lands a right cross, and he rocks him with... And then he just does it again with that right cross, really finding his mark here. And then he lands some right hooks, and then he gets the KO. So not too much to there, just kind of sticking and moving and picking his shots, and he has some power. And then before that, he took on Dallas Jennings in LFA. In the first round, he lands a left hook, and then a straight right whenever he gets pressed. Then he lands a step-in knee, followed up by some hooks, step-in leg kicks then. And then he cuts him off, and he gets cut off, and then he eats some overhands, but he's able to circle out, doesn't stay there and trade with him. Then in the second round, he slips some straight shots, and he lands a short left hook as a counter, and then he lands a lead right hook whenever he gets pressed against him, and then he gets cut off again, but he eats a straight right flurry, and he gets rocked with the right hook toward the end of the round, but nothing crazy. Then in the third round, he's able to rock him with the straight right, stuffs a double leg attempt, and then he trips him in the front head. He trips him with the front kick, so he's coming forward, just lands a front kick, gets him to fall down, and then he gets into side control, lands some nice ground and pound, then he transitions to full mount, takes the back, rear naked choke submission. So, stood in there, decent power, okay on the ground, can smell blood and can finish, so I like that. Josh Quinlan, minus 245, Jason Witt, plus 205. I don't like the line here, but, yeah, man, Josh Quinlan just has power, and Jason Witt just got knocked out pretty brutally. I think Quinlan will be able to stuff the takedown attempts. Even if he can't, he'll be able to survive the first round. Jason Witt might get a little desperate in the second and the third round. I think Quinlan might be able to piece him up, might even be able to catch a submission. So I don't like the price, but just looking at the tape, I just don't have a good feeling about Jason Witt. And you've won the fight to go under 1.5 plus 130. Kind of like that one. But my pick here is Josh Quinlan. Feature fight of the prelims, I guess you could say. 170 pounds, men's welterweight. You got Brian Pooh Bear Battle taking on Takashi Sato. Brian Battle coming down from 185. His last fight, he took on Trayshawn Gore at 185, the real Ultimate Fighter finale. In the first round, he skirts along the cage, lands some front kicks and leg kicks. He lands a front kick and then a jab, and then an overhand whenever he gets pressed. He starts pumping some jabs at range. Then he lands a jab and overhand. Really nice. First round for him, doesn't take too much damage. Second round, he lands a straight right and then some left hooks. Then he lands a 1-2 and then a body kick, but he gets rocked with the left hook on the fence after he throws. Then he eats a head kick and he gets rocked with some hooks, followed up by that. And then he lands a 1-2, and then he gets a double to the clinch. Can't really complete it though, but then he keeps shooting singles against the fence, but then he gets caught in a guillotine, and then he gets pushed down to the ground and ridden out for the rest of the round. So 1-1 going into it. The third round, and then in the third round, he gets pressured with some jabs and front kicks, but his knee gets caught, and then he gets taken down with the double leg, but he's able to get up relatively quickly, uses defense, and then he starts defending the body kick, but he eats a hook whenever they break out of the clinch, and then he pressures him to the fence, and he starts slipping the straight shots, and he's able to get the clinch. He lands some 1-2s from range, lands some 1-2s and a front kick, and just kind of keep circling, and just kind of outpoints him from range there. Really smart win from him, and he took some damage and kept coming forward, so I like to see that. Then Takashi Sato took on Gunnar Nelson in his last fight, UFC London in March. In the first round, he's in and out of range. Step in, he misses his jabs though, a little too short, and Gunner's a little too fast. But then he gets collar tied whenever he's coming in, closing the distance. But then he's able to break out of there. He knows he doesn't want to be there. But then he gets taken down with the double to the body lock, and his back gets taken, and eats some ground and pound from there. And you know, he's not good on the ground at all, unfortunately. Then in the second round, he walks into some straight rights, but he's able to feint the jabs, but then he gets doubled, gets his back taken again, rinse, repeat, same as the first round. Then in the third round, he gets rushed, and he gets tied up, collar tied, but he's able to break out, and he starts circling away. Again, he knows he doesn't want to be there, so at least there's that going for him. But then he presses with a front jab and then a straight left, and then he gets blast doubled when he's just kind of standing at range, not really prepared for it. And then he gives up his back immediately, starts eating some ground and pound, and then gets the rear naked choke attempted on him. But to his credit, he fights the whole time, and you know, tough spirit. We'll fight another day. And then Takashi Sato, here we go, is plus 240, and Brian Battle is minus 285. Yeah, dude, Brian Battle, I guess, is a decent grappler, but he hasn't really shown any prominence. And hopefully you would think Takashi Sato has been working on his defense. Brian Battle's coming down from 85 to 70. 70 might have been his real weight class, but I just don't like that as a first fight, especially Takashi Sato. Takashi Sato has power. Brian Battle eats shots. He doesn't take them the best. He had a black eye in the last fight. I'm going to go with Takashi Sato here, just off the value alone. I think it's worth a shot. I don't think Brian Battle's worth minus 285 at all. And then Takashi Sato to go to decision is like plus 150 or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But I like that. Takashi Sato by decision. You know, who knows. All right, 155. The co-main event of the prelims. Men's lightweight, you got Terrence T-Rex McKinney taking on Eric Gonzalez. Terrence McKinney looking for a bounce-back victory here. Last fight, he took on Drew Dober. Hell of a fight. First round, he lands a jump knee and then a hook flurry, and he drops him. Lands some hard ground and pound. Then back on the feet, he lands another jump knee and he drops him, but then he gets clinched and he stuffs the trip and he's able to get on top, land some ground and pound. But then they get back, but Dober's able to kick him off. And then he rushes with some hooks and a head kick, and he's able to dip the hook, and he gets the double, and he lands some ground and pound, but then he gets pushed off again, and then now he's becoming a little wild, a little desperate. He misses the hooks, and he gets clinched, and he shoots, and he eats a knee, and he goes down. I guess maybe like a combo of getting hurt and Dober kind of pushing him down, but then he just gets TKO with ground and pound, man. That's all he had. He had two hellacious flurries in him, and Drew Dober has the crimson shit, so it is what it is. But then Eric Gonzalez took on Jim Miller his last fight. This was his UFC debut. In the first round, he eats a left cross and he gets clinched, but he's able to get the body lock trip, and he's able to work in a half guard, but he's not able to hold Jim Miller down. Then he rocks him with a check left hook and then a flurry, but then he gets taken down off that, stepping a little too far into Jim Miller. And then he lands an elbow in the clinch and then a 1-2 in the pocket. Then he eats some counter overhand lefts from Miller. Then he eats a left cross when he's coming in, and then he eats a 1-2. Then in the second round, he throws a step-in front kick, then he eats a left cross, and just gets KO'd, man. Jim Miller's a veteran. Perfect timing is what it is. Eric Gonzalez, plus 600. Terrence McKinney, minus 850. Eric Gonzalez just got knocked out by Jim Miller. Jim Miller has power, but Jim Miller's not like a knockout artist, so I don't like his chin. Terrence McKinney's going to give him all he can possibly handle in the first round, and he does not have the crimson chin, so I hate the price, but I'm going to go with Terrence McKinney. But Terrence McKinney by KO, plus 120. And Terrence McKinney, his win condition is KO or bust. Terrence T-Rex McKinney, baby. All right. The main event of the prelims at 185 pounds. Men's middleweight, you got Smiling Sam Alvey taking on Michael Onzejczyk. Sam Alvey coming down from 205. Michael Onzejczyk coming down from 205. So, a little interesting here. Sam Alvey has fought middleweight before, but he was up at 205 for a while, I guess. But both guys coming down, so something to think about there. But Sam Alvey took on Brendan Allen his last fight at 205 pounds. In the first round, he gets pressured to the fence, and he eats a straight shot, but he's able to counter with some hooks. Then he stuffs the double against the fence, and then he's able to get into a headlock position, but can't do much with it. Then he gets a 1-2 whenever he gets rushed in the pocket. Then he lands a check left. Then he lands a step-in jab. Then an overhand on Brendan Allen, but then he gets dropped at the counter right hook toward the end of the round. Just overstepping his bounds a little bit, but then in the second round he eats a body kick and a head kick when he's at range against the fence. Then he throws a lunge jab, misses, eats a left hook inside the pocket. Then he gets dropped with that, and then he gets submitted with the rear naked choke. Brandon Allen club and subbed him. So, is what it is. I thought he looked good. He landed some decent shots, but Sam Alvey, you know, he has won decisions before, but I think he's the best in the first round. And then Michael Oleksiejczuk took on Dustin Jacoby his last fight. In the first round, he landed a short left whenever he gets pressed, and then lands a step-in jab. And he catches the kick, gets around his back. Can't really do much with it, though. Then he presses with some straights to the body. Lands some 1-2s whenever they're in the pocket exchange. Then in the second round, he eats a counter left hook inside the pocket, eats a knee, and he gets dropped with the uppercut, and then a flurry from Jacoby. Then he gets taken down with a single off the fence, but he's able to get up. But then he eats some knees inside the clinch off of there. Dustin Jacoby makes him pay. Then he keeps getting cut off, and he gets clinched for the rest of the round. Then in the third round, he eats some jabs when he's coming in, and then some hooks in the pocket. And, you know, just Jacoby really starts finding his rhythm in the third round. But Oleksiejczuk looked pretty tough in the early fight. So Michael Oleksiejczuk -600, Sam Alvey +450. Obviously his price is ridiculous, but Sam Alvey's on like a 7-fight losing streak or 7 fights without a win. Both guys are dropping a weight class, but Sam Alvey, you know, he puts his back to the fence. I think Oleksiejczuk is going to pressure him, beat him up, get on the inside. Sam Alvey might be able to land some hooks whenever Oleksiejczuk is coming in, but that's all he's going to have to rely on there. And I think Oleksiejczuk might be able to get around his back, grapple him, something, make it dirty. I think he's going to put a lot of pressure on Alvey. My pick here is Michael Oleksiejczuk, and then you want Michael by decision, +165. Not a bad play, but Michael Oleksiejczuk. On to the first fight of the main card, 125 pounds, women's flyweight. You got Ariana, the Queen of Violence, Lipski, taking on Priscilla, the zombie girl, CACHOEIRA. This should be violent. Ariana took on Mandy Bohm her last fight. In the first round, she landed some jabs and some straights to the body. She's able to step over the body lock attempt, get on top position, do some work from there. Then she lands a head kick and a hook flurry toward the end of the fight. And in the first round, then in the second round, she lands an overhand right whenever she's getting pressed. She gets double unders, stuffs the takedown, lands some knees to the head, and then she lands a knee to the body, and then a check right hook whenever she gets rushed, and she's able to drop her with that combination. Then in the third round, she lands a head kick whenever Bohm is going for a level change, and then she lands a right cross and a jab, starts walking her down, then she drops her with a 1-2, and then she lands a right cross to the body, and then she's able to stuff a shot and get into the front headlock, and then she lands some ground and pound, and then tries some and then she's able to try the crucifix position, doesn't really get it, but she's constantly working there. So, you know, pretty violent from her end. And then Priscilla Cachoeira took on Ji-Yeon Kim her last fight. In the first round, she stalks at range. She enters with the overhand right, trying to close distance like that. And then she follows Kim, but she doesn't really cut her off, just literally follows her. Then she gets a blast double with 5 seconds left. Okay. Then in the second round, she walked into some jabs and some 1-2s, but then she's able to land a Superman punch, throw some wide hooks. But Ji-Yeon Kim's kind of like pointing her and staying at range for the majority of the fight. But then in the third round, she presses, she starts landing some right crosses, but then she eats some jabs and hooks whenever she rushes in. But then she walks into some more right crosses, but she's able to land just a barrage of right elbows off of her jab. And, you know, the judges kind of give her the fight because of that, but, like, you know, whatever. She's violent, she goes for it, and, you know, she bladed up Ji-Yeon Kim, so good on her. Priscilla, +150, Ariana, -175. I'm going to go with Ariana Lipski. I think Priscilla just is too wild. I think Ariana is going to be able to catch her with some straight shots, maybe even take her down. Priscilla's definitely not going to take her down. I think she's going to piece her up, kind of what Ji-Yeon Kim did, but I think Ariana has more power. I think she'll be able to hurt her. My pick here is Ariana Lipski. All right. Second fight of the main card, 265 pounds, men's heavyweight. You got Augusto Sakai taking on Sergey Spivak. Should be a fun one. Both guys trying to enter that top 10 or stay at the top 10 and, you know, just kind of be an option for some of these big fights that are coming up. So it should be fun. Augusto Sakai took on Tai Tuivasa his last fight. In the first round, he circles circles back against the cage, but he eats a hook to the body, and then he gets clinched. But then he's able to reverse, his clinch attempt gets reversed, but then he's able to land some knees to the body, but he eats a combination whenever he breaks the clinch. But then he gets pressed to the fence, eats another combination with a straight and a left hook. And then in the second round, he walks into a left hook, eats a 1-2, and then a left and a right hook, flurry from Tai Tuivasa, and then just kind of gets KO'd. So basically, Sakai just kind of doesn't do too much, and you know, Ty was able to take it to him then Sergey Spivak took on Greg Hardy his last fight. In the first round, he eats some leg kicks, but then he feints the jab, shoots a single, and then he comes up, gets the underhook, and Greg Hardy doesn't choose to break away out of this grappling exchange, which kind of blows my mind, but he's able to get the hip toss, and then he's able to get around his back, mat return him, uses a half Nelson, powers him over, heavy ground and pound at full mount, and just gets a TKO victory. Pretty easy. I know Greg Hardy's a bad grappler, but still, Greg Hardy can crack on the feet, and Sergey took him down with ease, and didn't take a lot of damage. That's the important part. Sergey Spivak minus 285, Augusto Sakai plus 240. I don't like the price here, but basically, Augusto Sakai doesn't do much at all. And then when he fought Jairzinho Rozenstruik, just circles the cage, gets knocked out with like 10 seconds left in the first round. So I think Spivak, he's learned, he's got rolled over by Tom Aspinall, but who hasn't? And I think Spivak's starting to come to his own. I think he'll be able to get Ty to the ground eventually. Or, you know, Ty's going to be a lot timid trying to get in on Spivak because the takedown threat's there. I like Spivak. I'm not sure exactly how he gets it done, but over 2.5 plus 135, I can see that. I can see Spivak just kind of getting a takedown, getting around his back. Maybe Sakai's on his knees, but Spivak just keeps working, stays busy the whole time. Sergey Spivak, lock it in. All right. The first tough finale at 125 pounds, women's flyweight. You got Brogan Walker taking on Juliana Miller. Walker took on Laura Gallardo her last fight on The Ultimate Fighter. In the first round, she gets clinched to the fence with a body lock, but then she jabs, lands some leg kicks, and she's able to cut her off on the cage. And she tries to clinch. Can't really get it, but still making her presence known. Then she lands some step-in hooks, and she's able to defend the double leg attempt. Then in the second round, she drops her with the 1-2. Then you get back to the feet, and then she pumps the jab at range. But she's missing, and then she eats some counter hooks for troubles, but then she starts landing some jabs, but she misses the step-in right cross, and then she gets body locked, but she's able to defend with the over-under. Really nice, gets her hips back, really good IQ there. And then she lands some knees from the front headlock position. I like seeing that, a little violent. Then in the third round, she eats some straight shots whenever she's going in for her jabs, but then she lands some jabs and a leg kick, and then a left hook, and then a straight right, and then she's able to land knees from the plumb position, just pulls it down real quick, nice work. And then she's able to she steps back, and she lands some straights, and a firefight just kind of gets a little more range, and is able to kind of piece her up toward the end there. And then Juliana Miller took on Caitlin Neal on The Ultimate Fighter, obviously. And in the first round, she presses the jab to the clinch, but she's not able to hold the clinch. But then she gets taken down with the body lock, but then she gets right back up, so I like seeing that. But then she walks into some 1-2s, eats those, but then she's able to get her on the back and drag her down, and then she's able to take her back. And then a little bit of a scramble, she whizzer kicks, she gets the full mount, lands some ground and pound, and then she goes for armbar attempt. Can't get it, but it was late in the round, so good time to go for it. Then in the second round, she rushes, and she crowds her with some jabs, and then she's able to get the body lock off the fence, and then she's able to pull her off and get the outside trip against the fence, pull her out, get the outside trip takedown, really nice work. And then she's able to get the full mount. She has her belly to the mat, and then she's able to get the armbar submission through that. So, Juliana Miller, minus 120, Brogan Walker, plus 100. I don't know, I'll be honest, I didn't watch Ultimate Fighter, I watched these last fights. I was going back and forth, but Juliana Miller, she has to get to the fight to the ground, in my opinion. Brogan Walker showed that she's that over-underhook very nicely, and she gets her hips out of the way. She knows she doesn't want to be in those clinch situations with those good grapplers. So I'm going to go ahead Brogan Walker, slight underdog. She also has more fights, more experience. I don't really know, but when in doubt, go with the underdog. My pick here is Brogan Walker. Feature fight of the main card, 265 pounds men's heavyweight. You got Muhammad Usman, Kamar's brother, taking on Zach Pauga. Usman took on Eduardo Perez his last fight. In the first round, he jabs, shoots the fence, but he eats some knees for his troubles. Then he jabs, lands some hooks to the body against the fence, but then he eats some leg kicks at range. But he's able to shoot the double, but he can't finish, lets him up, swings some wide hooks on him. Then he wings some overhand rights, but he mostly hits the shoulder, a little wild there. Then in the second round, he lands overhand left and then a right to the body, then a jab. Feints a jab, gets the double off of the fence, but he can't hold him down very long. Back in range, eats 1-2, just standing there. Does that a lot, but then he jabs, and then jabs to the body and lands some leg kicks, but then he eats some counters when he's standing there. Then in the third round, he lands a step-in overhand right. He gets pressed, eats some jabs, but he counters with some body hooks, but then he lands an overhand right whenever he gets pressed. solid effort, just not a lot of activity. Zach PAUGA took on Jordan Heiderman in the first round. He presses with the 1-2 against the fence, and he backs out of the hook range, and he lands some straight counters. He's able to cut off the cage, and then he lands a lead left hook, but then he oversteps on his jab, and then he gets shot to the fence with a single, and he gets his back taken and taken out with a mat return, but he gets right back up and gets out, breaks the hands, classic. And then he just backs out of range of jabs, and then in the second round, he lands some lead left hooks, and then a right cross, and gets the KO. So, pretty good performance from him. Muhammad Usman, not that great of a wrestler. We haven't seen it, and but, you know, PAUGA's able to get off a takedown. And PAUGA minus 265, Usman plus 225. Usman just doesn't have enough activity for me. I think PAUGA is fast, agile, and I think he'll be able to box him up, keep him at range, get out of the clinch situations, and I think Zach PAUGA wins this pretty easily. My pick here is Zach PAUGA. All right. The co-main event of the evening, 170 pounds of men's welterweight, certified banger. I hope you like violence. Vicente, the silent assassin, LUQUE, taking on Jeff, hands of steel, NEAL. Vicente trying to avenge the loss to blow Muhammad, and Jeff NEAL, he's trying to get into that top 5 here. You know, this will be 2 in a row for him, coming off a bit of a losing streak, and Vicente's trying to get right back there. Let's get after it, boys. Both got knockout power. I'm excited. Vicente took on Bilal Muhammad his last fight. In the first round, he stalks, cuts off the cage, lands some jabs, but he walks into some body kicks, but then he lands a step in 1-2, and he misses, and he gets double-legged for his troubles, and he's just not quick enough to react. He's standing at range, but he tries to cut him off again, and then he walks into some kicks from Bilal. But then in the second round, he presses with the leg kicks, but he eats some 1-2s, and he stands at range. He's trying to enter, but he eats more 1-2s. Then he lands a step in leg kick, but he stands at range. He gets doubled again after the leg kick. He comes in and comes out. He gets doubled. Then in the third round, he lands a step in lead left hook, and then he lands a step in jab, and then another left hook, and he stuffs the double, but then he gets clinched all the way to the fence. He lands a left hook at range, though, but he eats some 1-2s, and he throws a knee, and he gets doubled. Bad IQ, in my opinion. But then he lands an uppercut, but then he eats a counter hook from Bilal when they're in the pocket. And then 2 more rounds, more so the same. Basically, Bilal is just able to time those takedowns perfectly. And Jeff can kind of wrestle, but not really. But Jeff NEAL took on Santiago Ponzinibbio his last fight in another certified banger. In the first round, he bounces in and out. And he feints his jab, and then he lands some step-in leg kicks. But then he lands an overhand, then a jab. But his jab is kind of missing. But then he walks into some 1-2s, and then he backs out. He doesn't want to get hit by Santiago, obviously. But then he slides, and he lands a lead right hook. And then he gets back to the cage, and then he eats a straight right from Santiago. Then in the second round, he eats some straight rights, but when he's landing his leg kicks, gets countered. Then he gets taken down with the double off the fence, but then he gets right back up, so decent defense there. Then he walks through some jabs, but then he lands some lead hooks for his troubles. Then he eats some jabs at range. Then in the third round, all cards on the table. He lands a check right hook, and then starts landing some straights, but then he walks into an overhand from Santiago. But then he walked into a straight right and then a left hook. Then he eats a straight right at range and a 1-2 though. But then he lands a step in left hook whenever he gets pressed, and then Jeff kind of lets it go here. And then he lands a jab and 1-2s at range. And then he starts landing some more 1-2s. It's kind of open down the center for him there. And whenever he gets pressed, and he just starts landing some straight lefts. So, and Santiago's kind of opening up a little bit, trying to go for it, and Jeff throws him straight down the middle. So I like seeing that accuracy. Jeff NEAL plus 165, Vicente Luque minus 195. Don't love the line, but I think Vicente's just going to pressure him, and Jeff, I don't think Jeff's going to be able to take him down. I think even if he can, Vicente will be able to defend. Jeff's not a great wrestler, or might catch him in a choke, darce, or a good guillotine, whatever you want. I just think Vicente kind of does things better than Jeff. They both have huge power, but Vicente has an anvil for a chin, so I'm going to go with Vicente. You want to go the whole fight over 2.5 plus 105. I have a feeling it'll go a distance, not sure, but I like that. But Vicente Luque, baby, he's back. On to the main event of the evening at 205 pounds, men's light heavyweight. You got Thiago Marreta Santos taking on Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill. This could either be a certified banger or a certified snoozer. We don't know. Thiago Santos has been very boring lately, except in his last fight, the one round where he dropped Magomed. But besides that, you know, he kind of plays it safe, I guess. He's on his last legs of his career. But Jamal Hill is coming up after that loss to Paul Craig. He's 2 fight knockout streak. So let's get into it here. Santos took on Magomed Ankalaev his last fight. In the first round, he backs up, circles, and he misses his hook, and then he eats a right hook for his troubles. But then he lands a step in a right, he lunges forward, but then he eats a counter left hook. Then in the second round, he gets pressed and he throws a head kick and then some step in rights, but he's a little too short there. Magomed's making a miss, but then they both just kind of trade some leg kicks, but then he starts skirting the outside of the fence, and Thiago's on the back foot the whole fight, by the way. But then he eats some straights to the body. Then he lands a head kick, but then he eats a right hook and a head kick, but Thiago's able to rock him with a step in left hook. Then they get into a little bit of a clinch exchange, and he drops him with a left hook right off the clinch. Really good IQ, really good placement there. Magomed got out of position for 1 second, and Thiago rocked him. So, who knows? But then in the third round, he eats a head kick, and then he eats a step in overhand from Magomed. But then he starts pumping his leg kicks a little bit. But then he eats a left cross whenever he's throwing his jab. And then he lands a step in, dipping overhand left, but it misses. So, sorry, he goes for the step in overhand, but he misses, and that's kind of all it is. He kind of wait for Muhammad to come in, and then he just kind of throws it, but Muhammad already knows it's coming. So Magomed already knows it's coming, so that's kind of like his big thing, and as long as you can avoid that, it should be okay. And then Jamal Hill took on Johnny Walker his last fight. In the first round, he slides forward, comes in and out, wide stance. He eats some leg kicks, but then he backs out, doesn't want any of that power. But then he slides forward, lands a head kick. Then he uses his forearm to block the spin attacks. Just kind of like that, and keeps himself very long, I guess. And then he's able to cut off the cage, but then he eats some kicks when he's coming in, but he'll take it to give it. Then he lands a left hook and then a right hook, and then he's able to push his way out of the clinch, just keeps pummeling, just keeps circling, doesn't want to be there. Then he stalks forward, presses with the overhand right off of Johnny's 1-2, and then he gets a KO off that. Like the first real shot he hit him with, knocks him out, go figure. Jamal Hill, minus 320, and Thiago Santos, plus 265. I don't like this price here, but here's the deal, man. We're not super high on Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill is good, and Thiago Santos, his time is coming to an end, and Thiago Santos doesn't do much. Jamal Hill's a guy that pressures forward and will be in your face, and won't let you breathe pretty much, kind of like Magomed was. But here's the thing, Jamal Hill, can he go 5 rounds? I don't know. Is the fight going to go 5 rounds? I don't know. There's too many I don't knows in this fight. And honestly, Thiago Santos, not the dumbest bet I've ever heard of. Might even be the right bet, but I just don't feel comfortable betting him. I think Jamal Hill is on the rise. I think he's going to be able to move faster than Santos. Now, can Santos clip him with the hook on his way in? Maybe, but I just got to go with Jamal Hill, man. I got a feeling here. I think it's time. But, 5 rounds can concern me. But, Jamal Hill gets 3 out of 5 rounds. Doesn't really matter. But I do have a suspicious feeling the fight might go a little longer here. So, you want to go fight over 2.5, plus 140. Not a terrible bet. You want to go Jamal Hill KO, of course. But we've seen crazy things happen. We've seen Thiago Santos go to decisions recently. So, but my official pick is Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill. Alright, everyone, thanks for following me. Thanks for rolling with me. I appreciate it. Sorry I lost last weekend. But, new weekend. Did my research. New fights. Anything can happen. Check the description down below. Leave a comment. Let me know. Let me know how I'm doing. I really need the honest feedback. I'd appreciate it. Give me some ear tips, because I could definitely learn a thing or two. But check my Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all that stuff. Do a post-fight recap. If you could like and share, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe. And then also, I'll put it in the bio. If you want to follow Sports Social, SteelCity.com. If you want to go there, that's live casino in Greensburg. It's a great place. That's where I go to watch all the pay-per-views. It's free. Their food and drinks are competitively priced, and the food's really good. And they give me free posters and plenty of space to watch the fights there. And it's a good environment, and everybody's really nice there. So check them out. All right, everyone. Let's see some underdogs win. Let's see some violence. Let's see some profits. Good luck, everyone.